Hi, Miss Bruce. Thank you so much for joining us today in this conversation. I'm McKinna Moore. I'm a 12th grader at West Potomac High School.
Well, thank you very much, McKenna, for inviting me. Happy to be here.
No problem. So the first question is, I keep hearing people talk about equity. Can you explain what this is and how it affects my friends and I?
Yeah, so equity is like the hot word these days, right? You hear a lot of people talking about it, a lot of people saying that they support it, but I don't know how many people really understand what it means. So, the way that I think is easiest to understand it is to think about it um, in relation to another word that it's used with sometimes or used interchangeably with, which is equality. So equality means, everybody gets the same thing. Everybody is sort of treated the same way. Everybody, um, sort of you take a pie and you divide it up into slices so that everybody has the same amount. So that's what equality is. But equity is really thinking about how are people situated in this community, in this world? Um, and how then do we best need to understand the unique differences and the unique skills and the unique interests of different people, individuals and groups of people, and then start to tailor how we treat and support people in order to give people what they need to succeed, right? So it's not giving everybody the same thing. If we were going out to eat and I was really hungry and you weren't hungry at all, and we, took a pizza and divided it in half, and I gave you you wouldn't want much, but a half a pizza might not be enough for me. Well, actually, it's way more than enough for me. But if you get what I mean, all you might need is a small slice because that's really all that need because that's the level of your hunger. Whereas I'm really hungry and perhaps I could eat the whole pizza. So giving me more because I'm hungrier might be a different way to think about it. There's often, we sometimes use a graphic to show what equity means in relation to equality. And in that picture, there's three boys. One's a tall boy, one is a medium-sized boy, and one is a really short boy. And they're all trying to look over a fence to see a baseball game. The tall boy doesn't need any help to see the game. He's tall enough to look over the fence. The medium-sized boy is not quite tall enough, and the short boy is way too short to be able to see over the fence. So equality would mean give everybody the same set size stool or give everybody a box and allow them to stand on it and see if they're able to see the ball game. So if you think about it, the medium-sized boy got what he needed. He could look over that one box was all he needed to look over the fence. But the little guy, one box wasn't enough. He actually needs two boxes in order to help him achieve the goal. So it's really about understanding what people need in order for them to achieve a goal.
Right. That makes perfect sense. So the next question is, did you see yourself growing up in this position when you were growing up? If not, what did you want to be initially?
I did not see myself in this position at all. What I growing up, um, I couldn't even fathom this kind of work growing up because what I do is really help the government and help our community to understand why we see the differences and outcomes that we do and what we can do to address that as the government or as people in the community. Um, when I was little, I don't even know that that was something that was understood, that the government actually, could play a role in helping people to live to their fullest potential. I think people thought if you worked really hard, if you, tried really hard and had all the advantages, that's what got you that. And anybody else that didn't get that must not have worked hard enough. And what we know is it's really working hard is important, absolutely. But sometimes there are things that, sort of stand in your way of no fault to you, right? And they really block you from the opportunity to do all that you are really able and interested in doing. So as a kid, that just wasn't even sort of something that I could have even conceived of. But I always knew that I wanted to be in a profession where I could help. I grew up with my grandmother, and she was one of those people in the community that people always went to for help. And she was also a very hard worker. So she wasn't sort of just giving people help. She was supporting them and encouraging them to grow and to be the best person that they could be. And that always inspired me. So yeah, what I wanted to be when I grew up changed all the time. I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be a doctor, I never envisioned that I would be doing what I'm doing now, but I think it really still boils down to just wanting to help people and again, realizing that, people want to do great things, and sometimes you just need to, do what's necessary to give them those opportunities.
So the next question is, what's your favorite food?
My favorite food, wow. I think my favorite food, it's really a tie. And both of them are things that my mother makes. I love my mother's sweet potato pie. And I also love her greens. A combination of collards and kale is what she makes. And those are the two things that if I were really hungry and could eat anything I wanted, I'd eat a big bowl of her greens and a piece of sweet potato pie.
Yeah, me too, for sure. I love greens. So the next question is, what's your favorite color?
My favorite color is green. Um, I like that color. I've always liked that color because it always just represented to me like freshness. And I love that time in the spring when the leaves are coming out on the trees, and um, you know, it represents life and just being alive. I'm in a sorority, and our colors are pink and green,
AKA.
so that helps. But yeah, green is my favorite color.
Okay, so the next question is, what does Black History Month mean to you?
I think it's an opportunity that we as Black people can take a moment to reflect on our greatness in our history and our contributions to the society, not just sort of in the United States, but in the world. So many of the things that make you know our lives good and enriching are things that really generated from the Black community. But I also think it's a time to think about our strength and resilience. We have, as a people, been told a story about who we are, that really has minimized all that's good about being Black. And so I'm definitely one of those people that celebrate Black history every month, right? So it's not just about 1 month a year, but I do think this one time of the year when we can sort of all commonly come together in acknowledgement and celebration and reverence is a good opportunity to just think about our power and think about all that we've done as a people and can do in the future. So it's not just about reflecting on the past and looking at, you know, Martin Luther King did this, and Malcolm X did this, and all these people in the past did this. You know, what are we doing today, and what are we doing tomorrow? You know, and it's not about just past contributions, but things that we can do as a people moving forward.
So the next question is, who do you look up to?
Who do I look up to? That changes often. You know, right now, who I look up to it's not an individual necessarily, but it's the group of people who have been just dissatisfied with how things are, in particular, young people in our community who are just dissatisfied with our current arrangement and are actively sort of you know, pushing us to be better as a society and a country, and not accepting excuses for why we have to, you know, keep things the way they are. So, you know, just generationally, I know that there's always, you know, groups of people that drag our society to be better. And I really do think the young people, you know, who are in the streets and voting and just, you know, doing so much more than I can say that I was doing at that age, are just really an inspiration and give me confidence that that our, you know, our future is in good hands.
If you could make one wish, what would that wish be?
One wish. Well, I won't pick a self-serving wish, right? if I had one wish, I really wish I would wish that we all knew our power. I wish that we knew that if we work together as a community, there's just nothing that we can't do. And I think, like I said, we've been told a story about ourselves that has become so ingrained that it has really served to limit our possibilities. And I wish that wasn't true. I wish that we saw our own greatness.
So what message do you have for other youth that will watch this?
What message do I have? To stay, to, you know, do what you can to advance your own life. And, you know, I've learned a little bit about you today and your preparations for college. And I think that that's really important to concentrate on, you know, your success as an individual. But I think if we're going to be successful as a community, it's going to require our youth to, you know, not selfishly focused on just their own interests, but to think about how their neighbors are doing, how their families are doing, how other people are doing, and again, work together. And that has not been the case over the last few generations. I think we've lost sight of that. So just a word of encouragement to keep doing what you're doing, which I think is amazing. You know, and particularly during this period where you're going to school during a pandemic and, you know, still continuing to excel and thrive, but to, you know, keep a global focus, you know, focus on how you can be a part of other people's success. But like I said, I have full confidence that this generation is that type of generation.
that was the last question. So thank you so much for all your helpful answers. I really appreciate it. We all appreciate it.
So it was very nice to meet you, McKenna. Good luck with the rest of your 12th grade year and everything else you do.
Thank you. Nice to meet you as well.
All right, take care, sweetie.